So, welcome again to our second part of our wonderful story. In our story, we are facing a zombie epidemic, and our box containing the vaccine has been lost. And this time, we want to move into the more practical aspect of the story. But what we want to do is to go step by step in a process, and the process that we are going to use is called the kill chain. So you can see the kill chain is a military term that has been also adopted in IT, and because I am pretty familiar with IT and not so much with the military, I like that. So don't blame me, I'm not from the military guys, I am too smart for it. So let's start with reconnaissance. Sorry. So that is the first thing that we want to do. We want to understand what is that is going on the field before sending a team. And today we are going to cover in detail this part. The second part is okay. Now we go on that location, but we need to have tools, not necessarily guns, but tools, proper software. Everything need to be configured, and that is the objective of the next video. Next part is the delivery. So in the delivery, we move from our original location to the point in which we believe we can infiltrate the target. And then we will infiltrate the target, and then we will create in the installation phase a small base from which we can act. Finally, we prepare everything in a command and control phase, and finally in action we will go and search for our box. So, and today we will focus on the initial part in which we're trying to get as many information as possible on the situation. So what we want to do is to use WinTAK to create routes to inf and exfil. We want to create a subpoints from which we can infiltrate, and then we want to understand how we can look at the target site before we go there, mark any zombie ship that is around, if possible in advance, present obstacle such as wall fences need to be marked if possible, other important terrain feature, danger area. We will use WinTAK to create viewshed, and then we will use the weather report plugin to define what is the weather that we expect. Finally, we will also use open source intelligence tools for get information, download local maps, and create grid, and everything will be packaged in a local package to distribute it to the team. So let's jump to our WinTAK. Now in this view, as you can see, we are very high level, and that is what we have explained in the initial video. So let me recap here very quick. So we have this airplane that is taking off here, and that is a route that we have created in WinTAK. That is the moment in which the report is still okay, but when we are close to New York, the airplane is out of control and goes, surprise, surprise, in direction of Nova Scotia, and that is where it crashes. So let's jump into the location. And the first thing that we want to do is to create a route. So we assume that our team will land to the local airport that is here. And we want to create a route. And as you can see, I have already created one. And we have very beautiful pictures attached to the route. and we can also navigate this route. How that works? So in WinTAK, we have different tools that you can use, and one is routers. And you see here I have two that has been created. The previous one is the airplane, and that is the one that we want to use. If I click on the route, it will visualize the complete route from the end, from the start to the end. And then if I click to navigate, will be used like in a Google navigation, so step by step for each of the waypoints. It will bring me from one location to the other. So what we can see here is that the complete route is 16 kilometers, and we see also the distance between the different waypoints. And I can zoom here, and you see I am editing the route. So what we can do is we can adjust the route. For example, if I click on one point, I can place it very precisely. So for example here, so, and here we are. So another thing that you can notice is that we have an image that is attached to the route. That is very useful when you do the navigation. So to start the navigation, I will set my position manually. And then I will start the navigation. And you see for each of the step of the route, I have images that I can click so that we can easily recognize where is that we have to take a turn. And then we can end this and exit the navigation. An alternative way to create navigation is to go to Google Map and use their functionality to create a route. And the reason why you may want to do that is because on Google Map, you can simply a function that will follow the roads, so you don't need to click a lot. So it's a little bit smarter. So what we did for the exfil route is to create that in Google Map, and then we have imported that as a KLM. And you see that is a very complex route that will bring our team out, and that has been created in Google Maps. So to be honest, WinTAK is not the most stable software ever. A lot of people complain about that. Very often it will be completely frozen, but there are certain functionalities that are not available into ATAK. So that is why we are using it today. And frankly, for certain things, it's more comfortable. So we will continue to use that. So we have seen that we can create routes into different ways. One is by importing a route from Google Map, and another one is by creating a local route into WinTAK. Now, you can see that all the time I'm playing with layers, and that is one of the most important things to understand when you work with WinTAK and ATAK, that you can have a lot of information, and so you need to be focusing on certain information. So you see here, the layers are called overlays, and we have a lot of them. So right now we are playing with the navigation route, and when you go to navigation, you can decide which type of navigation information you want to have. And another one is the KLM, and KLM can be any sort of information, so that is our route, and I have deactivated that. So activation and deactivation layers, as I said, is crucial, and that will cover also our next step. So we want to visualize a lot of information regarding the common the target location. And as you can see, we have created a lot of markers here indicating key points, indicating location from which we can control the ground. So we believe that this is the important location from which we can control all the zombie shape. And so we have marked. So we have all the different gates marked here. We have also here a so-called kill zone and geographical information. We have also information regard to people that are around, and we have also here our secret entry route that we will use. So we will leave the cars in this location and we'll enter the secret path so that we will directly arrive to what we believe is the target zone. So you may ask, okay, how I can import a KML or KMZ file? It's pretty easy, and you have different ways to do that. You can, number one, go to the import manager and import files or directories. So, and here I have several things that I can import. For example, I can import images, and I have another location which I store all my different KMZ. An alternative way is to download them from the server. And that is where FreeTAC server is important, because if you are connected to a server, you can download a data package from the server. So you see right now I'm not connected. What I'm going to do, I'm going to connect to pub. And now I can download a data package, clicking here on the data package icon, and then download packages from the server. So that is a list of things that are on the server. And at the end of this exercise, when the planning is completed, I'm going to upload to the server a data package with all this information, and you will be able to use it if you are connected to pub. Now, in this view, you can see things like obstacle, important terrain features, kill zone, danger areas, and so on. But that is not really a feature of WinTAC, and we want to leverage WinTAC. And one of the things that we want to understand is what is the view that we have from a certain location. To do that, we use the elevation tools here, and that open a new window with elevation tools. We'll close this one so that we have a little bit more space. And the most important one is this, the viewshed. And to work properly, what you need to have is the so-called VTED. VTED is information about elevation. And as soon as you click in a certain location, you will see what you can see from that location. So everything that is green is going to be visible. And clearly that is not calculating any information such as, buildings. You see here we have a picture that I have imported from Google Road. And we can see that here is a home. And from the map, we can also recognize that we have a home here. But it's also important to have a 3D perspective of the situation. So from this viewpoint, that is the type of view that we will observe. So, and we can also have several. So you see, for example, here it's pretty low and we are surrounded by hills. So we're not going to see anything. And here we have a pretty good view of the spot. So understanding which kind of visibility you have, not only how you can see a objective, but also how someone else can see you is extremely important. Now, one thing that is not very nice is that you cannot really save that information. So in general, in ATAC and WinTAC, if you click on any marker, you can see additional information, you can share it, you can do some stuff, but here you can't. So I'm going to simply delete them. but we have an idea of what is that we can see from the different vantage points. So in our planning to fight the terrible shit zombies, one thing that can be extremely relevant is weather conditions. I mean, we don't want to be wet while we are like heroes killing zombies, right? So Attack has a very good plugin system, and that is an interesting thing. There are certain plugins that have not been released to the public, but for some reason you can have them in WinTech, and one of those is the the weather report. So you see here I have a weather report for my location, or what he believes is my location. So I'm going to click to the exact location, and you see it really calculated nicely the location. And if I click here, it should be even better, hopefully. Well, it's not for the Salmon River, but it's close. And we have the current location. Then we have the early forecast. That is extremely valuable. And you need to open a little bit to see all information, including, the percent of precipitations, wind, cloud cover. So cloud cover will give you the sun. And here you have another important information that you may want to notice before you start killing zombies. That is the sunrise and sunset. You can also use all the sources for that, but it's extremely comfortable for a integrated tool to have this information. Now, there's no way to save this information directly. We cannot share it. So what we are going to do is we are going to create a report, and we need to note this information somewhere and then to insert into the report. Another functionality is the 16-day forecast, and that will give us some ideas of the weather. So I don't know where you're located, but here in Nova Scotia, we said if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes because it's continuously changing. And so it's extremely difficult to do a long-term forecast. So that provides only an idea, but it's better than nothing. Again, you can also use for that another tool, but it's extremely comfortable to have everything integrated. And clearly, to work, this required to have an active internet connection. And the same is true with the weather images. So, for example, I like very much the images of hurricanes, tropical outlook 2 days and 5 days. And for example, here, if we will have an hurricane, we will, see that. Thanks God, the hurricane season is not anymore current, so we can clearly relax. The next thing is the weather layers, and you can access to that directly in the overlay manager. Keep in mind the overlay manager is here, and if you have the plugin that is activated, you have also this nice weather overlays, and that is a little bit confusing. So you need to open that and then to activate each overlay. And unfortunately, that is only covering the USA. So if you are not in the USA, you cannot really take advantage of this. However, because I'm close enough, I can see that today the temperature are in the lower 50, less than 10 degrees Celsius, and the lower temperature are kind of stable, still around between 0 and 10 degrees Celsius. Another thing that is important is, the weather satellite. And you need to keep in mind that you need to deactivate one to really see the next one. So that will provide a nice worldwide view of the coverage, and you can play with transparency like this so that you can see a little bit what is underneath. So pretty bad weather right now, but we are in winter almost, so that is nice and fine. So there are a lot of information in regard to weather, including the meters, the sigmets, the airmets. So this is extremely important because those are alarms. And if you want to really see what is going on, you can activate them. And you can activate them by location. And you see that is coming from my local airport. And here we have, information coming from the weather station of the local airport. So the most important one are the METARs, that are meteorological aerodrome reports, and even more the SIGMET, that is for significant meteorological information. So, and you see here in the SIGMET, we have turbulence and we have convective. And again, the interesting thing is that they are organized by distance. So as you can see, the closest one is 800 kilometers. So I'm going to activate it to get an impression. And you see it's covering basically the complete East Coast and is focused on the United States, but clearly will also impact me because I'm so close. Another thing that you may want to do is to get a local image of your target. And WinTAK has a very nice feature to do that. I first need to deactivate some KLM. So under Maps and Favorite, if we open, you can see that we have a lot of different images that we can select. But you can also download one. And currently I am downloading a series of tiles from Google, and you can decide what is that you want to download. Depending from the level, is up to multiple gigabytes. You see here I'm downloading something like 22 layers, and each layer is representing a zoom level if you want. So as you zoom more, you will need to add more tiles. So the whole map is going to take over 2 gigabytes. Now, when that is saved, it's going to be saved in a SQLite format, and that is going to be part of our data package for the team that is doing the mission. So another function that is really useful is the so-called image overlay. And we are using that to create a grid. And there is a plugin that can do the same, but the fundamental of what we'll do is we'll create a grid like this as an image, and then you can impose that grid over your map. And you see here we have simply created a set of letters and numbers so that we can refer to this location as E6, and that would be a unique ID that no one else but our team will understand. So to do that, we can simply use a program that can create a grid. You can use PowerPoint, you can use Photoshop, or whatever you are more comfortable with. And maybe in future, the TAC Product Center will also release the so-called GRC, a plugin that allows you to create it within ATAK. So that concludes for today our presentation of the first part of the kill chain. So that is where we try to do some reconnaissance to understand the location. We don't jump into the location without adding any information. And that is an important thing to understand, that the attack infrastructure is not only for execution, but it's a lot for planning. And clearly, depending from the level of planning, you can spend a lot of time into create information to the target. My experience is that you need to create information that the people on the field can really consume. So don't overexceed with planning. So that concludes this video, and next time we are going to see the next part, and we will continue our story on troubleshoot. Please stay tuned, like, subscribe, and all the stupid stuff that other people ask you to do, I don't. So if you don't, please subscribe and don't worry about it. Don't worry. Thank you.